moved to England in 1991.
Marvellous. So you moved into England
91, October, August. Yeah.
1991. And how did you feel when you decided when you moved to England? Did you say, well, this is my new start in my life? Or?
Yes, of course it was, because it was a big decision.
Uh-huh.
And I had children, so naturally I had to consult everybody, my wife, my children, before we moved here. And yes, it was a good decision. I think I had taken it. But yes, it was a big thing, and we couldn't, for many days we couldn't decide whether we were coming or not. But
Very
ultimately we decided.
And normally when you have, in those days, you used to have the voucher systems where they used to actually want people in the country for work because there was a lot of need in the country at that time. Did you come on the premise that you wanted to work here, or did you say, look, I want to come as a teacher, or because of your qualifications? What was the reason?
I had with great intention. That was the intention, that I was going to earn my own living.
Mm-hmm.
And since I had been working in Pakistan Army and as a lecturer for quite some time, for 6 years, so naturally, yes, that was the aim. It was not to in any way that I will be doing nothing and I'll be just sitting at home.
Mm-hmm.
I came here to work.
Mm-hmm. And did you find that when you came here, were you speaking English at that time? Or were
Yes,
you?
I could.
Good. And was that because of the army education?
Because of my qualifications, because I had done my master's in English, so that is what in Pakistan. Yes, that is the reason. And plus, the medium of instructions in that military college was English, because I told you that it was established by the British. So till 1966, when we still had one teacher who had gone from here to teach. So there were teachers who were trained by the British, and the medium of instruction there was in English. Although before I was in year 7 or year 8, no English I had never learned before, but I started learning it from that day onwards, and then we couldn't speak in any other language. So yes, I knew that English was not a problem for me.
Very good. And when you actually came into and landed on the plane, was it in Heathrow, London?
I landed in Heathrow, and I stayed. First we went to, my friend was there in Birmingham, so we went all the way to Birmingham, and we stayed for a few days. Then I chose Derby, and I came to Derby because again I had some friends, and the only thing I needed was some moral support, some accommodation, some money. So I didn't want to depend on anybody, but naturally you
have to be with someone. Yeah, for the
somebody
first.
has to help.
Mm-hmm. What was your first impressions when you landed off the plane? About the cold, or was it?
I had no idea. I mean, the first thing which I remember was that I didn't hear any horns on the motorway when we were driving to the
motorway.
Birmingham, and then again in London. But naturally, I had seen the pictures, films, and things like that. I had some idea that what it would be. But the first thing was that everybody was following discipline. Everybody had was following the law by traffic rules and things like that. So yes, that impressed me. But at the same time, it was very haunting. That what would I do? I don't know anybody, so I didn't know what did the future hold for me.
Good. So when you actually came to Birmingham and with your friend, and you actually stayed in Birmingham for a while?
Yeah, with my friend for a few days, or maybe a few weeks, or maybe 1 month, I don't remember, but then I came to Derby.
Then you came to Derby. Is it directly from Birmingham to Derby, or did you decide to move anywhere else?
No. From Birmingham, they just dropped me. I still remember it is in front of Bramble School. The one who was, another gentleman was going to Bradford. He says, I can't take you to Derby, I'll just drop you somewhere in Derby. So he dropped me in front of Bramble School, and somebody, again, a friend of mine, during those times there was no mobile phones. So I rang up from one of the telephone booths and he came.
Marvellous. So you actually moved into Derby after a few weeks over
I think in September, yeah, maybe 4 few weeks.
And where did you actually move to Derby? Was it a house?
Normanton area. No. The friend of mine, he used to live on Belfort Road or Belfort Street, Belfort Road.
Mm-hmm.
So I moved with him, and then my family, by this time we had decided when should my family join. During those days, the PIA flights were in Manchester, nearer rather than, because there were no flights to Birmingham, there were only flights to Manchester or to Heathrow, but Heathrow was too far, so we thought we'd go to Manchester to pick them up.
So that's marvellous. So now you have your family now with you in Derby, who joined you, and you have settled in slowly into living in England from coming from Pakistan. Where did you actually live in terms of your house? Was that the first house, or did you move again?
Yeah, it was the first house, Normanton area. So
Mhm.
Normanton area was, I was just very near to Rosehill Mosque. So I think it was Wilfred Street or something, I don't remember. But we did rent out a house, and that is where we got first. I think it was Home Street, but I don't remember. Yes, we moved 2-3 houses before we bought our own house.
Oh, okay. So you were living in temporary accommodation,
Rented house,
rented
yeah.
house. Were you working then?
No, I had no job
You had
because I
no
was
job.
looking,
Right.
and I didn't know. I thought that I will get a job straight away when I come here, but I had no idea that there are certain procedures which take, and naturally it's not your qualification, it has to be your interview, it has to be shortlisted. This I didn't know. I thought I'll just apply for a job and somebody will call me and I'll be the only candidate, and then I will, after the interview, be no. But it was a different thing, that the job was advertised, and then naturally I had to apply, and then we were shortlisted. That's all. But in Pakistan we don't have these things.
Of course, yes. So you were looking for a job while you had your family with you, but you were living in rented accommodation.
Yes, and I got a job exactly after 1 year.
Wow.
My family joined me in October,
Mhm.
and exactly 1 year in '92 I got the job. Before that I had no job. So
Oh.
I was without a job for complete 1 year, and that was the very, very, what should I say, a time when I was thinking that I had done not the right move, I should not have come. But then I had a lot of hope in my Allah, and yes.
That's very nice to know. So when you were moving from a renting accommodation to another rented accommodation, how were the living conditions?
Not to my standard, not to my
Mhm.
expectations, because again, the house we had in back in Veerpur up there, we had a very big house, we had our own car, and we had all the things,
Yes.
all the facilities. So naturally, I didn't have a car at that time. By the way, I had not even passed my driving test at that time.
Mhm.
So I didn't know that. I thought my international driving license would be valid here, but then I checked up and then they said, no, you can't. The reason being that you are not insured, and if you get the insurance, it will cost you more than the normal cost of the car. So that's why I didn't get any myself.
I understand.
I had to take the driving test.
You have to take your driving test. So you didn't actually take your driving test for a while.
Oh no, I think in '93, because naturally you want to spend money on something which is better rather than straight away spending money on a car or insurance or a driving test. No.
So the conditions weren't that good where you were living.
I won't say not that good, but not as we expected.
Yes, of
they were
course.
good enough because my children
Mm.
got the admission in the school,
Mhm.
so I had nothing else. Used to go walk with them to the school,
Mhm.
drop them off and come back, and then at times used to go and collect them after. So that was one of the activities I used to do.
Excellent. And were you living with your family in the same house, or were there other people sharing?
No. We had
Your
a
own
house
house.
where was nobody else was. We were only
Excellent.
living in our house.
Thank you.
But with no job, we didn't have any job. Whatever money we had brought from Pakistan, that was getting almost drained out.
Mhm. So when you were actually looking to buy your own house, once you had your job, from only after a year from your actual finding or looking for a job, what was that job that you first got?
The first job I got was a teacher, so that because I was a lecturer there, so I mean there is a story behind it, and if you want I can tell you.
Yes, please. We would love to know.
Right back in '93, it should not be taken in a negative way, '91, '92.
Uh-huh.
What it was, that was the Labour government, and they used to pay they had faith assemblies in all the schools, whether it was a junior school or a primary school or a high school. So what the Labour government had decided, or what the city council had decided, they used to pay the taxi fare to the imams or to those people who used to go and conduct these faith assemblies. But as luck would have it, they said we will not give any more money to those taxi fares to the imams or to those who come and lead the faith assemblies. So the community has to send somebody volunteer who can do this free. We cannot give any money. So naturally nobody was willing to work free, but as luck would have it, and I had to get it. So one of the community leaders, he came to me, he says, are you free on this day? I said, why do you want me to, why are you asking these? He says, oh, we have come to know that you were a teacher there, so do you mind going and taking a faith assembly? I said, for how many days? He says, for 1 day. So I said, okay, I don't mind if it is a one day. So I went to one of the schools, I'll not name it. Okay, it was Village Community School. So I said, look, young man, I do not have any transport. I can't. So where is village school? I do not know. He says, don't worry, I'll drop you. So he dropped me at the gate, and therein, I saw that the head teacher was waiting for me, the deputy was waiting for me, and all the Muslim boys and girls were sitting very quietly in the hall. So I was taken aback. Oh, what is happening? So he took me and he introduced me to the children, that look, it is Mr. Rahman who's going to take your assembly, and over to Mr. Rahman. So that was my first assembly, and I had no idea what to do.
Wow.
So the only thing was, I said, okay, the only thing I can talk to you is about the 5 pillars of Islam, because nobody had told me what the faith assembly is, what it is.
Yeah.
So when I spoke to them for 15-20 minutes, then I didn't know that it is for 20 minutes. Then there was this next lesson. So that's how he again interrupted. He says, Mr. Rahman, thank you very much. Now they have a lesson, they're going to go. So after the lesson, after the faith assembly, the head teacher took me to his office, and after thanking me and saying that I had done this thing, he asked me, could you please come next Wednesday? So I didn't reply to him. But I said, excuse me, sir, why Wednesday? He says, we have a faith assembly every Wednesday at 2 o'clock, and it is for 20 minutes. So see you next Wednesday, thank you very much. So I left and I went to the same gentleman, the one who had asked me that I should go. I told him, look, young man, you should have told me that this assembly is regularly. So the typical Pakistani answer was that you have nothing to do, so there is no harm if you do it regularly. I said, no, the courtesy demands that at least you should inform me. Anyway, that was the door opened, and then the head teacher told me in my second meeting, if there is a vacancy, Mr. Rahman, I can assure you that I'll shortlist you. He didn't say that I'll give you the job. I can assure you that I'll shortlist you. Whether you pass the interview or not, that is what can be seen later on. So that is how I got a job. Later on, there was a vacancy after 2-3 months. And in October, I told you I got the job exactly after 1 year. So this must have happened before the summer holidays, because I don't remember. I think it was before summer holidays, maybe in May, June or July. So that is how I got the job.
Marvelous.
I mean, I got into the school, and then I was shortlisted, and then I was interviewed, and there were many other candidates, and that is how I got one of the jobs.
Excellent. So you were a faith teacher?
No.
Or a teacher who does...
No, what happened was that I was, then they used to call it Section 11. Section 11 was funding by the Home Office, that it was for those children who had come recently from Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, and English was not one of their languages. So they used to withdraw them from the main lessons, and we used to help them in understanding. So it was a supporting teacher like sort of. Then we used to go in the school class and help those teachers in understanding that. Yeah.
So while you were working, was that full time?
Yes, it was full time right from the day, because naturally I told the head teacher that I can't survive, I need a full-time job, and he says, yes, it is a full-time job and you will get a full-time job. But yes, then I was employed as a Urdu teacher, but that was not full-time. That was only for 3 days or 2.5 days. So I didn't want that 2.5 days job. He says, don't worry, we will make it full-time. For rest of the lessons, you will be helping those Pakistani students who have come recently from Pakistan or Bangladesh or from India, for whom English is not their first language. So you will help them in English, maths and science, plus you will teach Urdu. So that is how it was made up, full-time with the help of the head teacher.
That's so nice. And then you started your full-time position there.
Full-time in October
Very
92
happy.
I started, and I worked. Then after, again, as you would say, should I call it diplomacy or whatever, I came to know after 1 month that my pay which I am getting and which the other colleagues are getting is not exactly the same.
Wow.
So I went back to the same head teacher, I think must be in October, November, December. I said, look, I am not, he told me, he says, look, Mr. Rahman, I gave you a job, but unfortunately you are not qualified according to the law of the land. So you have got to qualify. We can give so much money only to the qualified teacher. So I said, what is the route of option? He says, go and apply for a qualified PGC.
Yes.
So, but if I apply for PGC and I did get an admission, then the bad luck would have been I would have to lose the job, because for PGC, if you are a full-time student, you can't continue.
Yeah.
But again, I would say it is Allah who would create something. There is a creator and you are just one of the actors. So what happened was, PGC was started while in job by the Open University of Milton Keynes. So I was one of the students, one of the initial, I think they started in 93 or 94. So in 95 I enrolled on the PGC while doing the same job in the school, and in 96 I qualified my PGC, and from 96 onwards I was qualified, but for first 3-4 years I was just an instructor.
So you were getting paid the same as others?
As an instructor,
Yeah.
but from 92 to 96, not qualified as they call it nowadays, not qualified, and but then I was newly qualified in 96, not before. So yes, there is a lot of hard work and lot of things in my life that I have to, but yes, there is a Allah and there is always a creator, and I have full faith in that. That is how it happens.
Thank you. So now moving on with, after being educated through the PGC system and having a formal qualification that would give you entitlement to have the full pay as you would, that meant that you had education from Pakistan, and when you were there, then you were educated here afterwards, because they didn't recognise your qualifications there for whatever reason. And once you had your education here, you started, as you were working at the school. Were you thinking there's a big difference between the education in Pakistan and here?
Yes, I would say there was, because I used to have discussions with the same head teacher and things like that. We used to sort it out. So he says, look, if I can only allow you to do PGCE through, because you had to do the thing, the head teacher had to recommend it.
Yes.
And then you have to find a mentor yourself in the school who would be your mentor, and then another school where you do the second placement, first placement, second placement. And he says, with only one condition, that you will not leave my school. That is, you stay in the same school, because if you leave, I can't get somebody else. So you promise me that you will not leave even after the qualification, and I will continue, I will recommend you. I mean, he was not blackmailing, don't call it blackmail,
Yes.
but what I would say that he
Yes.
had his own difficulties.
Yes.
He says, if you leave it, then naturally I'll be problem. And for PGC to do it through the Open University, you've got to do it in a school. So he is not recommending me if I want to do it. So only thing is that a word of mouth, I promised him, yes, I will stay here. I will not leave. This is my gentleman promise, because this is my job I got. So yes, I did get it, and then that is how I did by PGC. And yes, there was a lot of difference, because we had to do a lot of studies. PGC is not that easy a thing. Not only that, but my background of Pakistan, yes, there is a lot of, in Pakistan, it is only to memorize. That you have to memorize, and in those 3 hours, you have to vomit it out, you have to write it out. This is what it is. If on that day you are not well, or you can't write it, even if you have been a good student or an excellent student for 2 years, they say on the papers, on the exam dates, no, you are not been up to it. But here, yes, they see everything. I didn't know that they had coursework in year 10. This I came to know here, that they have coursework in year 10, year 11, and it counts for 25% of your whole mark. And then there are, I mean, multiple question, choice questions, there's a way of teaching, so many new things I learned which I had no idea, and which I had a student in Pakistan, we didn't know it. What were the punishments, what were the detentions, what were the restrictions, what were the rewards.
Yes.
In Pakistan, there is only one shabash, that is all. Nothing else, that is very good. Nothing more than that. But here, if it is, then yes. And then there are school restrictions. We did not. Yes, and when I was in school, there were, but those restrictions for the whole class, not as for one individual or something. So yes, ways of teaching, I didn't. I mean, I had learned it, I had known it, but this I came to know in practical once I was in the schools.
So when you were in your education and you were actually teaching as well, and you started to get your full pay when you were starting to work, did you enjoy the education in England against the education in Pakistan?
Yes, from my point of view, yes, but there were some negative as well, because the people here, the children especially, were not that well behaved, so I didn't like that part of it, but rest of it was excellent. The colleagues, the school, the facilities, I mean, so many good points, But one minor point was that the people, the young people, the children, they were not that, or not most of them, but few of them would spoil, and we couldn't resort to any physical punishment or anything. So we had to follow the school rules, which is you can't touch them, so you couldn't touch them.
That's an interesting point, that is. What did you find different between, obviously, Pakistan, where if you were misbehaving, they would sort of use corporal punishment, and here you weren't able to?
No, in Pakistan, what you can do is that you can straight away either tell the gentleman or the girl or the lady or the boy, whoever it is, to leave the school or to go out, and then you get involved the principal and then the parents, and there are no warnings and second warning and third warning and just have a fresh start. No, it's somebody is not interested, one warning, second warning, out they go, and then even the parents want it then. But the only difference was, I have found their people eager to learn. In Pakistan, they want to learn, but there are not opportunities because there are no facilities.
Yes.
Let's say the labs didn't have that much, the languages didn't have that much access, we didn't have so good libraries, computers, so many things. So facilities were not there, but 80 to 90% people wanted to learn. They want to make use of it. So 10% or maybe 15, they didn't want to. So you could get rid of the children rather than giving you a headache. But here it was, I should not call it headache, but they were a pain in the back because they were not listening to you and you couldn't do anything. They said you have to stay in school up till 16. Even if you are horrible to the teachers or to the school, you break the equipment, nothing happens to you. You don't follow the school rules. Maximum is 1 day exclusion or 2 days, and the same person is back to you. So I mean, there I felt a little bit helpless that the children are not, or the next generation is not interested. And irrespective whether they are for white or black or anybody, but it is that majority of them they don't want to do in the councils areas, in the schools, that is the state schools.
Excellent. So obviously there's a big difference there.
Big difference as far as discipline of the children is concerned.
Excellent, thank you. When you were in England, and obviously you established yourself after getting a job after a whole year, applying different places and knowing that your history or your background is in education, and then you followed your background from Pakistan, and then you were able to get a job in a school here, which was Bember. Was it Bember School?
No, it was then known as Village Community School, and that was in Village Street.
Uh-huh. And was that a secondary school, was it?
Yeah, that was a secondary from 11 to 16. So it was a mixed 11 to 16, mostly Pakistanis and Asian Indians and everybody. Yes, 11 to 16.
When were you in a position to buy your own house?
In 93, I think.
93.
92, I got the job. So within 1 year after I think I applied for 6 months, after 6 months. So yes, because they used to, during that time, mortgage was not a problem. You apply it and you get it if you have a job.
Wow.
So yes, I got it straight away in 93.
And was that a small house, big house?
Yes, it was a small house. It was a small house, but it had sufficient rooms for us to live in. But not, again, I would say, if I compare it to the school house we had in Pakistan, it was not that big house, but we were having, everybody had a room to themselves, so it was not a problem.
Oh, that's nice. And when you were making yourself known in the community, and were you regularly praying in the mosque, or were you?
Yes, all the time. Some or the other, I follow my religion. I try to follow. I'm not saying that I always, but that is what it has been. So yes, I was always in touch with the mosque.
And were you able to pray at your workplace, or did you have any obstacles?
Yes,
while you were?
that was not a problem, because right from the day I joined, I worked in 2 schools, so the head teachers had no objection to it. So there was no problem for us to pray, and even for Friday prayers. The teachers were so good, the head teacher, that when the timetables were made in a year before, I used to ask them that my lesson number 4, which is immediately after the Jummah prayer, after Friday prayer, because as a teacher you are supposed to, or you are allowed to have, I think, if I'm not wrong, 4 lessons for preparation. So out of 25 lessons, we only teach 21 and 4 lessons. So I used to ask them for a lesson on a Friday, which is immediately after 2 o'clock. So in my both schools, they were so accommodative, they were so helpful that even if I'm 5 minutes late after the Friday prayers, they won't mind, because that was my free lesson.
That's nice. That's very nice to know. When you were working, did you find that in those days, in those particular times, the food items and clothing items, were they less expensive than now? And,
Yes.
yeah. And you find everything was easier to buy? And,
It was.
Yeah.
Nowadays it is not, but yes, at that time, back in 93, 94, when my children were still going to school, so we had no problems from financial point of view. The things were cheaper, the food was cheaper, everything was, I mean, according to our standards, we could easily manage and live in that amount of money which I got it. So it was not financially, we never had any problem.
So in a typical day when you were working in your school, did you find that you were, I would say, were you stressed out, or were you finding it easy, hard, or?
I won't call it stressed out, but I would, because since I told you that I was in Pakistan Army, right from that day, my aim or one of the teachings we had is that you should be 5 minutes before the time wherever you have to go. So to be punctual. So what I was doing, and my children, they went to, let me think of the school, the name. Anyway, so I used to drop them off myself, secondary school. So I always drop them off myself, and I would expect them to walk back after the school. If they're far off, they can always catch a bus. But to make sure that and then I used to be in school. So I have never missed a school for my one day even, and they have never missed a school. So yes, it was a thing, but I liked it, and I want them to. That is how one should be. That you should follow the principle of being in time for every day, and that is what it is.
Excellent. Now, how would you describe your work colleagues or your neighbours or your acquaintances who were non-Muslims in that time? Were they friendly, open and warm, or would you...
I have found most of them very open, because if you talk to everybody, I'm sure you will find that there are more nice people in this world than there might be few, but I had no problem with anybody, because I used to be very open and talk to them straight. So they were very cooperative, we were very friendly, and whether it was workplace, whether it was at home, whether it was in the area, I have not had any single problem.
Oh, that's nice. And you didn't ever discover or have an experience of any antagonism or racism or anything like that in your time?
I won't call it, because if there is one person who does something bad, doesn't mean that everybody is. So as we say, the 5 fingers are not same. So naturally you will not find nice people all over the world. There would be some people who would be, if you ask them the directions or anything, they won't like to even tell you which direction you have to go, or if you have lost a direction. But I have found most of them to be very cooperative, very helpful, and they help you in whatever way they can.
Thank you. Now, just going back on your life since you moved from Pakistan to England, and you were here working as a teacher for a number of years. Was that your only position the time you were in England, or did you move off to a different job role later on?
What happened was that back in, when I joined 91, 92, I said I joined Village Community School, and I think it was the year 2000, that suddenly we came to know that very soon Derby City Council is, as usual, always short of money, but they've got everything else but not the money. So they thought they want to close the school because of surplus places, which we didn't understand what is surplus places. But they invent a term and they do it some or the other, because they want to save the money. As I said, in 91, they did want to go a bit to the Faith Assembly, that you don't get a taxi fare. So when the school was closed, I said, oh my goodness, what I'm going to do, because my children are still in education, they are still going to schools. So as luck would have it, this school was closed, and the next job I got it on 31st, it was closed. 1st of September I got the job in Burton. So before that, 1 year, I'm talking about year 2000 onwards till 2001, till actually it happened. I said, how about if I think of doing another role? So then I did some research, and I became an interpreter, and I did my diploma in public service interpreting. And before the school was closed, I started working part-time as an interpreter with Derby's police, because they used to just hire the interpreters from the National Register. So I was one of the interpreters, and I started doing a part-time job. So I wanted to know I could get a job on a weekend or anytime they wanted it. So in 2000, you can say change of role that I became in 2000 a qualified interpreter, and my details are there on the National Register of Public Service Interpreting. So I go for interpreting to the Derby Police and to the courts, which is magistrate court or whether it is a crown court. So since 2000, I have not left it. I am still doing it even today. Till today I am doing it, and but that was the second option, that if my school closes and I don't get a job, what should I do? But thank God I got a job in Burton. So I used to drop my children in the school and then go to Burton.
So every day you used to go from Derby to Burton?
From Derby to Burton for 10 years, for 9 years I think.
9 years?
From 2001, 2001, because I remember the important incident or the important thing happened was when we had joined school on 1st or 2nd of September, and within 7 days the 9/11 happened, and that I remember the date because I was there in that school when we saw on television what is happening or what had happened on 9/11. So I remember the date.
Right, that's amazing. So you retrained yourself and then became an interpreter?
Interpreter, but I didn't leave the job of a teacher, so continued 2 jobs,
Yes.
that is as an interpreter in the evenings
Yes.
or on weekends,
Weekends.
and as teacher during the day.
Amazing, that's really good. And were you able to then you were able to pay your mortgage off really quickly?
Oh, I think within no time we changed it to the new car. We had some money and we could start thinking of going on holidays. So rather than going around the world, yes, we did go for Hajj, the whole family, Umrah, and then yes, to America and to France, nearest Disneyland. I took my children. Yes, no, financially there was no problem from the day I started. So yes.
So you're really thanking...
I'm grateful to Almighty Allah. I had no intentions of coming to England. I had no intentions of that what job would I get it. But yes, as the creator there, the things are already planned for you. You just take the right move at the right time and right thing.
When asking this question about like you were mentioning earlier, you didn't have any intentions of coming to England, and many people who do come to England before don't really know why or what they come in, for. What the main aim is for work and having a better standard of living and fulfilling their dreams. Some of them have actually fulfilled their dreams. Would you say that since coming from Pakistan, that all your hopes and desires for what you had in terms of financial situation and your aspirations you had, were they all fulfilled?
I would say that financially we are better off, but my aim was not financial. Why my aim was not? My aim was that my children should get a better education.
Wow.
So that was the top number one. Of course, second is the financial, because naturally if you don't have the finances, you can't educate the children as well. So my aim was to educate my children, my next generation, and by grace of Almighty Allah, they are now all educated, so I have no problem. They are all well settled. They are not a problem for me financially, and I am not a problem for them financially. So we all live in a family where we are all happy. Yes, the aim was, and I have been helping, I shouldn't say, but I have been helping my relatives back home because I've got some money here, so I've got some spare thing. So yes, the aim was the education, and then was the financial, that you should have a better way of life.
That's nice. And it's an interesting point there where you say you were helping your family back home. Did you find your family back home were very pleased that you were able to be here and financially support them?
Again, I won't say that I've been helping some very close relatives. I've been helping the general public, those who know. But there are, let's say, within the family also, those who are not very well off. So at times I used to help them as well. So yes, they find it very naturally, because if you help somebody and they can't, again, I keep telling all my relatives that the most important thing, or one of the important things you can do is make sure your children get educated to at least a degree level. So not the school or it's not that if nothing come at least up to school, but aim is yes up to a degree level. So if you help them in having that education, or if you help them financially in any other way, so that they are happy and I'm happy as well.
Excellent. Thank you.